So, hello! It's been a long time, and I thought that it's a good time to come up with something interesting. And actually, we will talk about using authentic materials, media, and that sort of things in teaching process. Most of the time I make videos for students. And right now I thought maybe I should make something that can be relevant to my fellow teachers and the general audience as well. So this is the video which will be dedicated to developing certain practical language skills, especially listening comprehension and vocabulary with the use of authentic materials. So this is the theme of this video, and the first thing that I wanted to pay attention to is that today the authentic materials, they are more accessible than before, and it's because of the internet, of the social media, and because of this web journalism, etc., etc., and the existence of YouTube itself. I think that all these factors, they contribute to the obvious fact that authentic media and authentic materials in general, if you will, they are more available and more available worldwide. So first of all, we need to understand that everything that relates to authentic materials, it has more relation to CLT regulations, and everybody knows what CLT is, but let's just remind ourselves once again that CLT is communicative language teaching, and this system is the significant side of it is that it teaches you to speak the English language, to use it in communication in real life. And it is different from other approaches, other methods, because of the simple fact that in CLT we perceive the language as the means of communication and not just the subject or science. The main objective of CLT is teaching learners how to use language in everyday life in various situations, which means that any method can be found helpful and effective as long as it assists the learners in obtaining the skills. So therefore it means that any method, any approach, or any technique that you use in the classroom is welcome as long as it serves the purpose, which is to make learners more comfortable and make learners more active in the classroom. And if it helps them to obtain certain language skills, it's okay to use any method. So this is the reason why CLT procedures are of great diversity, and they vary depending on countless factors like age level and personal needs, interest, requirements of learners, and everything. So all these countless criteria, they depend from one classroom to another, from one teacher to another. So that's why you cannot make any outline, any kind of universal approach, because every time it may differ. So let's come to authentic materials then. Authentic materials, actually, what it is, we will right now take a look and make certain and firm definition of it. First of all, authentic material is an example of the use of the English language. So it means that it is something that is created by native English speakers and not for teaching purposes. That's why it is totally realistic, and they give the learner the experience of real life language which is not adapted for him, and makes him understand how it functions and works in different life situations, because authentic materials are made they are not deliberately made for teaching purposes. These are just materials that represent the language use. It can be anything. It can be a note, it can be some piece of writing and a book, or a video, for example, on YouTube or something like that. Audio material like lecture recorded, everything that is created by native language speakers, in life in general. And you can apply this realistic material taken from life, from different spheres of life. It can be like any sphere and use it in the classroom if it is, okay, if it is appropriate for the classroom. So, and they give a learner some information to make him understand how the language functions, because the language in real life, it differs from what is written in the book. So he will feel it, he will see the difference. So authentic content, I mean the types of authentic material, they can be different. The first, which is very widespread, is printed or handwritten material, like I've already just said, like some letters or emails, the same thing actually, but made in different medium. Some notes, lectures or fiction book, pieces of literature, etc., etc. Then we have audio and audio-visual material, which are, recorded materials, either only audio or together with video, Then we have visual materials that are street signs, advertisements, notifications, such type of things, and electronic, which are, kinda interactive services online on the web. This also relates to authentic media as well. So there are several requirements for the teacher in using authentic materials that are based on my personal experience. I mean, I had some experience with working, using authentic materials, because I like them very much myself, and throughout my teaching career, which is not so, this career is not that big, because I'm a relatively young, person, so I cannot have many years of teaching experience. But considering that I've been working since the early age in teaching, and that I was very keen on using new, techniques, approaches, which is actually one of the requirements from the teacher, to always try something new if it helps learners. So, and these, conclusions are based on these observations that I made based on my own, teaching experience. So first of all is preparation of authentic materials, which is, doesn't mean that you should adapt them, because if you adapt authentic materials, they are no longer authentic. So it means, not modification, but, the teacher needs to properly select the level of difficulty of these materials, the volume of material, or maybe, provide some extra exercises, because, the second thing is provision of extra content. Authentic materials do not work if they are not provided with activities and exercises focus on the skills and knowledge. Authentic materials, they do not work if they are not provided with extra activities, exercises that focus on the skills and knowledge. So, in order to make authentic materials work, you need to create something for them. And usually it requires some time, because when you work with a specific manual, or any other CLT, like IELTS or CFR based regulation book or something, you are already given the whole set, teaching set, which includes, the video, the audio, texts and exercises and everything. But if you use authentic material, you do not have this stuff. So you need to create it yourself. And it requires some time, it requires methodological approaches, ideas, creativity, all that. So, and this is the third thing, creativity and methodological talents. It is required to create interesting, appropriate and effective tasks for these authentic materials, to make sure they really fulfill the aim. And of course it is up for the teacher what activities to use, and any activity is welcome, any type, any procedure, as long as they reach specific goal within CLT recommendations. So that's it. The next thing is, let's talk about the forms of internet-based authentic materials and how the teacher can use them in his educational process, and what aspects to pay attention to. So we right now are getting down to the fact that today, as we have already mentioned briefly, authentic materials are available more than before, because of the fact that the internet, exists, and it provides us with a lot of English language content. And this content is all authentic because it is created by native English speakers, for example, YouTubers, the most banal example ever. And we can apply them in our teaching experience. So there are several points to pay attention to, and the first thing is the form of authentic media that the teacher likes to work with. There are plenty of forms the teacher can choose from. Let it be media like audio, video, web page, etc. The second is the genre of authentic material. It is important because the genres, they vary in level, they vary on vocabulary and grammatical aspects, and therefore they affect the primary educational objective. I mean, like, you should choose authentic materials depending on what you exactly want to develop. So the third is the aspect of content as it is of authentic media. Of course, the content of media is very important. What it tells about, what it teaches maybe the student outside just the English language or grammatical aspects or vocabulary aspects, etc., etc. What it is about exactly, by the fact, etc., etc. The fourth is the volume of authentic media. We should pay attention to this because some authentic media can be very long or too short. So, we need to pay attention to time management in the classroom in order to make it really, really nice and, and to make it fit into the class, into the lesson, that sort of thing. The next is, the fifth one is whether to give material in pieces or whether to make pauses during showing media like audio or video to discuss some moments, or maybe, to work on the whole, authentic content as it is and then work with it later. Because, when I was working and I really like using videos in the classroom, some pieces of, films or maybe cartoons or TV shows, anything. Sometimes I notice that some students experience problems when they do not catch maybe some words because they have not enough of listening, skills. So I usually stop the video, pause the video when I find it necessary, and we discuss something, and then we go further. It makes them more comfortable because maybe they didn't catch something, but sometimes it is not necessary. It depends on the level of students. It depends on whether they had experience with authentic material before or not, with English speech outside the classroom or not. So the sixth one is developing activities for authentic media. It is given as it is, so we should, think about some exercises in order to develop language skills, not just enjoy, yourself, or not to make the authentic media watching or listening or reading just for entertainment. It's something that actually chases some specific teaching goal. So in order to reach this goal, we need some exercises, yes? So the seventh is the role of feedback. Authentic materials can be entertaining, but it doesn't mean that they are entertaining to your students. I mean, for example, I may enjoy basketball, or I may enjoy motorsports, or I may enjoy hip-hop music, but it doesn't mean that my students also share this interest. They have different interests, so that's why it is a good idea if the teacher keeps up with all the interests and trends, and tendencies of young people in order to make them interested in authentic media, because it varies greatly. For example, some students may like certain song that you may not know, or you may not like it, but we need to consider the tastes of the majority, not just you or just several, students. We need to pay attention to their tastes and preferences, of course.